And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here tonight to another edition of the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast on the channel, where we're going to talk all things that happened in the second Pocono doubleheader race for the Cup Series. Yes, the one that took place on Sunday. My reaction as a fan being there at the track in person, what the whole weekend was like as well. And we're going to have some fun here tonight. We'll talk all things fantasy after that, how the points are shaping up in the league, how my team did, how all my predictions did, and what all those outcomes ended up coming out to be. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. And coming up after this as well, we are going to have a NASCAR '05 live stream for the Truck Series as well. Seaman the Demon, Ashton G, welcome to the stream. And welcome everybody else who is tuning on in. And yes, Ashton, best Pocono weekend ever. I think that is very well possibly true, considering the fact that we saw two great Cup races in one weekend, not just one but two. And there's a couple of good finishes in there. The Truck Series race I thought was pretty good too. The Xfinity Series lacked a little bit, but there were some good moments from time to time in that as well. Dark Crypto, Cooper Gaming, 3D, Kyle Larson fan, welcome to the stream. So yes, we're going to talk all things Pocono from the second race as usual. We'll start off and we'll go in chronological order: stage one, stage two, stage three, what went down, and then we'll talk about the finishing results at the end of it, point standings, all the fallout from Pocono after that. So, started off with stage one. Remember, we had the invert. The top 20 was inverted from the finish of Saturday's race to the start of this race, not including anybody that had to go to a backup car due to wrecking their primary car in race one. So that included drivers like Ryan Newman, Kyle Larson, Corey LaJoie, Ryan Preece, Anthony Alfredo, Cole Custer, and Ross Chastain all had to go to a backup car. Then Justin Allgaier had a late driver sub change after Haley got in a bad accident in the Xfinity race. Sounds like Haley is going to return back with Colleague Racing for the Xfinity race at Road America this weekend, as well as Spire Motorsports for the Cup Series next week at this week, at Road America. So good for him there that he wasn't really sorry. So anyway, we when the race started, we ended up having Chris Buescher and Michael McDowell on the front row, with Buescher leading the field to the green. We ended up having a caution on lap number two. So just like what happened in the truck race, and then the Cup race on Saturday as well. We had some early yellows, though this one came out earlier than the Cup race on Saturday. Again, lap two off the exit of turn three, Anthony Alfredo had gotten into the outside wall, three wide once again. Kind of was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think it was more his fault on Saturday when he and LaJoie got together. And in this situation, he was just, there. Everything was bunched together off the initial start. Got into the outside wall enough to where there was some debris laying on the exit of turn three after he had gotten into the wall. That sparked the caution. One of only two cautions per incident, might I add. First stage was very short, 30 laps, wasn't much strategy, and the stage one results from that goes like this. Martin Truex Jr. gets another stage win this season. Eric Almirola second. Brad Keselowski third. Ryan Blaney fourth. Bubba Wallace fifth. Michael McDowell sixth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. seventh. Tyler Reddick eighth. Daniel Suarez ninth. And Joey Logano rounded out the top 10. Truex was able to get up at the front of the field. He also he finished 18th in Saturday's race. So with the inversion, he got to start third, and he was faster than both McDowell and Buescher. Got around him pretty quickly, and that's why he was able to keep that track position and win stage one. Into stage two, this was the only caution-free stage throughout. Pit strategy was a play. We saw a couple drivers looking to go on a two-stop strategy for the entire race, and versus the three, those two drivers were both the Penske Fords of Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney. Unfortunately for Blaney, he had to come back down onto pit road. I don't know why he came back onto pit road to make an extra stop. I don't know if they didn't get all the lug nuts tight. I'm assuming that was the issue because they didn't show that he had a penalty. If he would have had a penalty, I don't think they would have replaced tires because they changed four tires. Then they changed four tires again like 3 laps later. So tough break for him. He did end up coming back to have a good finish though. But regardless of the fact, tough break at the time for him. Took him what looked like out of the running of possibly winning the race. And of course, we ended up by the end of the race seeing Brad Keselowski was not able to make it on 2 pit stops. He was still about 7 laps short. So I think they were banking on there being more cautions like there was in Saturday's race. If they would have gotten the cautions they had Saturday on Sunday, I think a 2 stop strategy would have worked. Plus, remember, this was a 10 lap longer race than what it would have been on Saturday as well. So if they were going to try a 2 stop strategy, I feel like Saturday would have been the day to do it, not so much Sunday. 10 laps longer. Keselowski was about 9 laps short on fuel. That was the big payoff right there. But with that being said, if we look into next year's Saturday race, I think the 2 stop strategy will be what will win that 1 year from now if they do decide to keep the Pocono doubleheader. Stage 2 results. William Byron gets the Stage 2 win. Denny Hamlin second. Brad Keselowski third. Big bounce back performance this weekend in both races for Keselowski as well. Christopher Bell was fourth. Chase Elliott fifth. Martin Truex Jr. sixth. Kyle Busch seventh. Kyle Larson making his way from the back of the field to the front after having to start at the rear. He gets up to 8th place, even with damage from the initial start of the race. Eric Almirola ninth, and Ross Chastain rounded out the top 10 in stage number 2. Final stage of the race, we had a caution early on for debris off of the, uh, actually not, who was it? Oh, Ross Chastain, that's right. Yeah, Ross Chastain had gotten into the wall in turn 1 on the restart. It was weird that they didn't throw the caution for debris right away. They threw it like a lap and a half after it happened. Not sure what the issue was there. The field went through. Maybe either they missed the debris from before or they were throwing a phantom yellow. Obviously, Chastain did get into the wall, so you would assume that there probably was debris. I just don't understand why they waited a lap and a half after the contact into the outside wall while the debris was laying there for them to then throw the caution. But regardless of the fact they had a caution for debris after Chastain had hit the outside wall on the restart, it came out at a weird spot. The caution actually flew with 47 laps to go in the race, and by the time they went green, they had 43 laps to go in the race. So right on the edge of the pit window, which was 32 to 42 laps for the Cup Series all weekend. And we saw some guys pit at the stage break that decided to stay out. Some of them topped it off. Some of them did not top it off. And I'll go into why Kyle Busch was able to make it on fuel while some of his counterparts were not able to make it on fuel when we get there. Well, I guess I kind of spoiled it. Brad Keselowski, we knew he had to pit late in the race. He was trying that 2 stop strategy. He didn't get enough caution, so he ended up pitting with 9 laps to go, giving the lead to William Byron. Byron was about 2 laps short on fuel when he had run out of gas. Coming to the white flag, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch were battling for the race lead with Hamlin out in front, and Hamlin decided to pit as he was sputtering down the short chute in between turns 2 and 3. Kyle Busch was able to get around him on the outside. Then Hamlin hit pit road. He didn't think he was going to be able to make it all the way back around the 2.5 mile racetrack. Kyle Busch on fumes was able to make it across the finish line on fuel to the end of the race, getting his second win of the season and his 4th career win at Pocono, all in the last 11 races at Pocono. So Kyle Busch was able to make it on fuel to the end of the race. He pitted under the same caution that Byron and Hamlin had pitted on, and I don't know if NBC, again, I was not able to watch the broadcast of the race, so I have no clue if NBC showed this. But Kyle Busch obviously was having a problem with him only being in 4th gear throughout the course of the race. So they were coming on pit road quite often in those final 2 stages, trying to fix it. Well, when pit road opened under that last caution, and we saw some drivers, most of the drivers, come down onto pit road, top off on fuel. Well, 2 laps later, right before the green, it would have been the second to last lap before they went green. Kyle Busch came back onto pit road again to try and fix the shifter. One last chance to try and fix the shifter, get whatever changes they need done so they can continue to race the rest of the way. Well, while doing that, they topped off on fuel again. So while everybody topped off on fuel, and I don't know if I got it on camera for the vlog or not. I'll find out tomorrow when I'm doing the editing. But anyway, I would assume that they topped off on fuel when they came down onto pit road. That would make sense because Byron, who was 2 laps short, pitted there, and then Hamlin was about a lap short. So even though they had pitted under the same caution, Kyle Busch had actually come down onto pit road about 2 laps later. Again, I'm assuming they topped off on fuel while they were on pit road again, but I do remember them pitting again because they were pitting like nearly every lap trying to fix that shifter during the stage breaks during the only caution they had for incident outside of the lap 2 accident. So yeah, I think that's what really helped Kyle Busch honestly go to victory lane. He had a fast car throughout the course of the day. He led the most laps, so he obviously had a fast car to run up near the front. If we would have had more restarts in the race, that would have hurt him because he only had fourth gear. He would not have been able to restart well at all. He would have spun the tires every time. He just would have been slow getting through the restart zone. So I don't know if they would have even really taken the risk of actually restarting at the front knowing that. But they never had another caution, and he was able to make it on fuel. A win-win situation there for Kyle Busch, and he was able to get his second win of the season. Yeah, I'd see you guys down in the chat talking about Trackhouse purchasing Chip Ganassi Racing. Um, I'll get into that right after I talk about the finishing results to this race. So finishing results again, Kyle Busch with the win, his second of the season. He led 30 laps. Actually, Keselowski led the most laps, leading them all late in the race with that track position that he had. By 1 lap, Keselowski led the most. So Busch still led 30 laps. So Kyle Larson comes back to finish second. That dude is insane. I'm going to leave it at that. Brad Keselowski finishes third even after having to pit there with 9 laps to go. He cycled out in fifth place, but with Hamlin, Byron running out of gas, he was able to battle and fend off Harvick. And he came out a couple seconds ahead of where Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney were running at the time as well. Kevin Harvick ended up finishing fourth right behind Keselowski. Bubba Wallace with his first top 5 with with 2311 this year. Ryan Blaney finishes sixth. Again, came back from a lap down, and that was very impressive to come back from a lap down considering we only had 1 caution for incident the entire rest of the race after Ryan Blaney there early in stage 2 during a green flag stop had to come back onto pit road a second time. So great rally to finish sixth. He had a great car all weekend long as well. He ran pretty much top 5 to top 10 both Saturday and Sunday. Alex Bowman, not really picking up where he left off, but he did have a fast race car once again. After he won on Saturday, he did finish 7th and ran back after the top 10 for most of the day on Sunday. Ryan Preece snuck in there with a top 10 late on fuel mileage. I actually didn't know he got a top 10 until I got back to the hotel after the race. I didn't even go to the hotel. When I got home and looked at the finishing results the next morning. So yeah, I didn't even know Ryan Preece got a top 10 until Monday morning. But anyway, he finishes 8th. Tyler Reddick finished 9th, and Joey Logano rounds out the top 10. Byron did finish 12th after he had to pit that extra time, and Hamlin finished 14th after he had to pit the extra time as well. 22 cars finished on the lead lap. And we had 3 DNFs. Stenhouse had an engine failure, I guess. I don't remember him having an engine failure, but I guess he had an engine failure. Timmy Hill and Garrett Smithley also failed to finish. So that is all the Pocono talk, really. We kind of flew through that. The fantasy fallout from Pocono. Again, you can join the NASCAR Fantasy League. Search for KRC League on the NASCAR mobile app or website under the fantasy section. Free to join. Have a chance to win 2 tickets to any race of your choosing in 2022. NASCAR-wise, excluding the Daytona 500, if you win the season end championship or the playoff championship. Regular season come to an end, you probably you won't have a chance to win the regular season if you are new into the league, but you can practice, get a feel for how things are working, and then when the playoffs start, you have a chance to win at that point in time. So again, here is the fantasy fallout and then the predictions and how my predictions went during Sunday's Pocono race. Given a second for my fantasy to load here for a second. That's my fault for not having it up and ready to go. All right, so on my team, now we got to search for Pocono. All right, so on my team, I did have Kyle Busch, and I actually predicted Kyle Busch to win the race, so that scored me a lot of bonus points as well. I had Kyle Larson as the top Chevy. Obviously, Kyle Busch is the top Toyota as well. So again, a ton of bonus points rolling in. That's the fourth time I predicted the right winner this season, and all four times have been in the last 5 races. So I have been on a roll lately with predicting the winner. Obviously, Kyle Larson were 3 of those times, but then Kyle Busch on Sunday as well. So I thought he looked fast, not only in the Cup race, but the truck race. Finished second. Second, he ran top 3 all day. I thought he had one of the fastest cars behind Larson. And with Larson going to a backup car, having to start at the rear, I figured, well, Kyle Busch is going to have the track position, obviously, and he was able to overcome adversity as well. So that's why I went with Kyle Busch to win on Sunday, and he ended up doing so. William Byron had a great day, got a stage win, scored a lot of stage points, obviously, with that, and he would have had a good finish. Obviously, could have won the race. He was leading late as well if he did not run out of fuel. He finished 12th, but still an okay run altogether. Denny Hamlin as well was up there towards the front. Also ran out of fuel. He was on my team. Ryan Blaney was on my team. Scored stage points in stage 1. Actually, again, fell a lap down, having to pit that extra time under green in stage 2, but he did rally back to finish 6th. Great day for Blaney. Joey Logano got a top 10, finished 10th. Great day there. And the driver of my garage was Kurt Busch. I had Blaney in the garage when he went a lap down. When he got back on the lead lap, I knew that car was fast, and I trusted Todd Gordon to get him that track position back. He was able to do so, and he was able to make it on field to the end to finish in 6th. He had to pit midway through the stage. So yeah, they pitted. That's right. Him and Harvick both pit with like 15, 20 laps to go, knowing they were going to be short. So they tried to short pit so they could gain more track position then. So that's why him and Harvick were still able to finish in the top 6. But anyway, I took Kurt Busch out of the lineup because he was kind of the weakest link there. Again, welcome everybody on in. Patrick Shadley, Inside Uranus, Dark Crypto, all you guys joined after Michael Turner as well. Joined after the intro at the very start, so sorry for not shouting you guys out like I usually do when you join on into the stream. The overall league standings right now, we got Tim Irvin, Super B-Man 1, sitting at the top of the charts with 3,613 points. Only 14 points ahead of Inside Uranus, and Inside Uranus is on a massive tear right now because I believe he was like 5th or 6th just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He is climbing up the radar, and it might have been a little longer than 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I remember he was like 5th or 6th for the longest time. He's up to 2nd. I am now up to 3rd after a great weekend of the Pocono doubleheader. Patrick Shadley is falling down to 4th place, but still very much in contention. Only 5 points behind me, and ultimately only, trying to do my math correctly here, 49 points behind Tim Irvin. If I do, yeah, okay, so 49 points behind. So again, 49 points separating the top 4. And then even Andrew Hollenbach in 5th, and really 6th place still has a very good chance as well, within a couple hundred points. The overall winner at Pocono on Sunday was Inside Uranus by 4 points over me. He scored 206. So again, easily score over 200 points. If you're within 200 points going into the, especially with Daytona being the regular season finale, if you're within 200 points, you still have a good chance of possibly pulling off the win at the end of the regular season here. All right. Blaney merch in Pocono. The only merch I got from Ryan Blaney was this hat, actually, this new hat. I had to throw, well, I still haven't thrown it out, but I'm about to throw out one of my older Blaney hats because I wore it at Nashville and I sweat like through it and it's just stained bad. So, yeah, I won't be wearing that one anymore, unfortunately. That's the risk with wearing your nice merchandise at a hot and sunny racetrack. It was actually beautiful weather in Pocono all weekend this weekend, but Nashville was, although it was nice and it didn't rain, obviously, it was very hot and humid, so I ended up sweating through my hat, unfortunately. All right, so yeah, that wraps up the fantasy. Now we go to the prediction side of things, how my predictions went. Well, my pick to win won the race, Kyle Busch. As far as all the must-have picks, had Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, as the two must-haves, and I believe there was somebody else I had as a must-have as well. I think it was Joey Logano. No, it was William Byron. That's right. I had to look back through my notes for a second. Kyle Busch, William Byron, Denny Hamlin were the three must-haves for Sunday's race. They all obviously competed for the win late. Two of them ran out of gas, so that's why they ended up finishing outside the top 10, 12th and 14th for Byron and Hamlin. So ultimately, again, even though I was right with them competing for the win, and then Kyle Busch getting the win, who was my win prediction, because they did not finish in the top 10, I have to stay consistent with that because that is kind of my grading scale is all unfinished. So even though Byron won a stage and he was competing for the win, and Hamlin was competing for the win late because they finished outside the top 10, their finishes were not a replicate of my must-have status of them being in the top 10 all day because obviously points are only scored at the end of the race. They're not scored with 2 laps to go in the race. So uh, tough break there as far as those go. As far as the sleeper predictions go, the only guy I had was Kurt Busch. And the only reason I took Kurt Busch is because he overestimated. He had a very fast car on Saturday's race, ended up with a top 10, and I had him as a don't have Saturday, and he proved me wrong. I was like, okay, I'll have him as a must have on Sunday because obviously he's got a fast car. He'll have the same race car. And they were so slow. They finished 20th. They ran outside the top 10 all day. I think with the inversion, he obviously didn't have the track position to start, and he never really got inside the top 10. So tough break there for Kurt Busch, and tough break for me as far as telling you guys that he was a sleeper pick. If roles were reversed, I had it the other way around, where I said Kurt Busch is one of the sleeper picks on Saturday, and then I don't have on Sunday. I would have been correct, but obviously, hindsight's 2020, and I would have never done that in hindsight. If I would have had him a dark horse Saturday and he finished sixth, he was gonna have to be a dark horse the next day too. So I was kind of like out of luck either way there. That's the problem with trying to predict 2 races. Even though we did get one of them right this weekend as far as the win pick goes. Uh, but yeah, the tough break there. As far as the don't haves though, I nailed the don't haves. I said Martin Truex Jr. He looked very slow, finished 18th on Saturday, and I had him as a don't have for Sunday's race. Finished 11th. He did win a stage early on to get stage points, but I did say stage 1 was so short and not a lot of faster equipment cars. Again, front row Roush in front of him on the initial start. I figured that he was going to be faster than those guys, and he was able to keep the track position outside the caution lap 2. They stayed green, so there was no chance anybody was going to get around Truex by the time the faster cars started to get through the field. So Truex was kind of long gone at that point. So that's the only reason he even won stage 1. But again, he finished outside the top 10. I said he would do that. It's been a rough stretch of races for Truex recently, and I'll go more into detail when we get to the power rankings. And the other don't have was Christopher Bell, and Bell also finished outside the top 10 as I expected. He ended up finishing 32nd. So 32nd, 5 laps down. What happened to Eric Jones? See, that's the problem with being at the track live in person. It's like if I don't actually see them have the issue vividly, I don't know what happened because I don't have the TV broadcast with me. Um, I knew it was going to be a fuel mileage race at the end, though, considering where they pitted and everything. So I kind of expected that kind of a finish on Sunday. And I knew Keselowski had to pick because I knew he was on the 2-stop strategy. So I could pick up the detail pretty good, but if I just completely miss something, I'm sorry. I can't really... You can't fault me or NBC for that one. I mean, it's, I just wasn't there to watch the television broadcast. I was there to watch the actual race. But Bell finished 32nd anyway, and expected him to finish outside the top 10, much like Truex. He finished only 1 spot better than Truex on Saturday's race. All right, so yeah, big news in NASCAR today, and I usually don't talk about the news on the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast, mainly because this is only an hour, and length, and we have a lot to get through, especially at the post race. The predictions video is a little easier. We have a little extra time, but the post race analysis, we usually have a lot to get to. But the news was so big, I think I have to talk about it, and that was Trackhouse purchasing Chip Ganassi Racing. Yes, they just bought him out. Chip Ganassi had stated, at least in the press conference afterwards, which I did not listen to, but I read like most of the thoughts and opinions, from all sides included, that were in the purchase and in the deal that was set earlier this afternoon. I was on my final break at 2:30, and actually ESPN was on. I saw it on. They had Sports Center on, and I saw it scroll across the bottom of the screen, and that's when it wasn't breaking news either. I just happened to see it. It was just under NASCAR on Sports Center, how they have like the headline at the bottom and it scrolls, and I saw that. So then I looked up on my phone, and I was like, oh man! And I was like, how did that? Yeah, I was shocked. It was behind closed doors. Really, I don't think anybody expected that to happen. If you did, you're lying. Yeah, that's just it blew my mind. So Chip Ganassi Racing is not going to be in NASCAR next year. We do know Daniel Suarez will be driving the 99 next season. That's already set in stone. They did announce that it is going to be a 2-car operation next year. They will have both of Chip Ganassi's charters that they had this season for next year. So uh, we don't know the number of the car, obviously. I would like to think that they would keep the 1 or the 42, but they might not. I guess with purchasing Chip Ganassi Racing, they technically have the rights to use the 42 and the 1, so I would assume that one of those two numbers will be the number of the other car. As far as who drives that, again, we know Suarez. We don't know who else is going to be in the car. Obviously, Ross Chastain and Kurt Busch are the top of the pecking order. Trackhouse has been rumored to trying to get Kurt Busch to drive for them, and I think that's, I would say, more likely to happen now that they have bought out Chip Ganassi Racing. Kurt's literally going to be with the same race team. I would assume they're not going to. I mean, they could change personnel uh, as far as the team itself around the 1 car, but I don't expect. I don't expect much to happen there as far as change. I mean, in fact, considering that one of those two teams is going to be no longer anyway, they could just combine the best resources from the 42 and the best resources for the 1 to make up that second Trackhouse team next year. So that team, Kurt Busch's team, could honestly even be better than what it has been the last 2 years that they combine resources like that. So this is great for Trackhouse. I was on the side of things most of the season with not only Trackhouse but 2311 as well, and I feel like they need to focus on getting the 1 car playoff ready now before they worry about expanding. As far as a team, side of things goes, I know you want to get the charter, and I know you want to get the second team with the new car coming out. It's going to be a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. So, money purposes is saying do that, but the reason why I'm saying no is because if you guys can't get one team to run consistently, good, at least good, on or averagely good, I don't think that you could sustain 2 teams to do that if you can't get one team to do it. But I mean, we've been seeing the major push for these charters. We saw it with Colleague Racing getting 2 of them. What was it, last week or the week before that? And now we're seeing it with Trackhouse. I don't think anybody expected them to buy out Chip Ganassi Racing, of all teams. I think maybe most people wanted to point at Rick Ware Racing, maybe to buy them out. But obviously they wouldn't have had the resources. I guess they're going to take over Chip Ganassi's racing shop. So literally Chip Ganassi's NASCAR shop is literally going to be Trackhouse's now. They're moving in. So literally taking over Chip Ganassi Racing going forward. So it'd be cool to see Kurt Busch or Ross Chastain get a win this season to, send Chip off at least with a win in his final year. He has, as an organization, at least won 1 race. I think 2018 is the only year I can think of that they did not win a race. Well, they won the All-Star race. Oh, 2019. Never mind. That was 2019. They won the All Star. Yeah, 2018. Larson went winless, and McMurray would have went winless too because I think he missed the playoffs. Also, let's team up and get a. I have no money to buy a charter. Nowhere close to enough money. I work at the Home Depot. I work at a Home Depot warehouse. I'm an employee. I'm not an owner. I wouldn't know how to run the organization. Trackhouse have Suarez on the 99, Kurt Busch in the 97. No, that's not going to happen. Now that they've bought Chip Ganassi Racing, they'll have the rights to the 1 and the 42 numbers. So that you'd have to assume it's all but guaranteed that one of those two numbers are going to be on the track next year and not like the 97 like people were kind of wanting before. That's just not going to happen because I don't know who has the rights in the 97 if Roush still has it. Because I can't really remember the 97 car being ran since Roush. So Roush might still have uh the 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 rights to it, but they have the rights to the 1 and 42, so why bother, chasing rights to another number when you have two available and ready to go. So yeah, it's kind of my quick thoughts on that. Just kind of speaking off the cuff, I guess, about it because I mean, I was at work and I got home from work a little later than what I wanted to today, and all of it kind of compiled into one. I was working on trying to get this podcast up as soon as possible because we still got a full race live stream to get tonight as well. So, um, that's pretty much my quick thoughts on it. But interesting to see. And as far as like my original statement too of like they need to get one team playoff ready, Suarez is having some good runs in the last really 5-6 races. He's closing in on the cutoff line. Kurt Busch is 3 points to the good right now. Chris Buescher is 3 points to the negative, but then Daniel Suarez is actually 18th in points. He's the next driver behind Chris Buescher, and he's still a little over 50 points back. Or sorry, he is 48 points back. So he's still 48 points back. It's still within one race, and we saw how quickly Kurt Busch was able to go from 80 points below the cutoff line just 4 weeks ago to being 3 points to the good. He was actually 4 points to the good after the first Pocono race. So in 3 races, Kurt Busch went from 80 points below the cutoff line to 4 points above. So by any means necessary, yeah, Kurt Busch or Daniel Suarez, excuse me, is not out of this. Kind of an interesting situation with that too. That Suarez could still potentially knock out Kurt Busch from the playoffs, considering that Trackhouse just bought out Chip Ganassi Racing. So it's kind of funny, honestly. All right, so I guess now it's time to transition into the power rankings. So again, we have weekly power rankings on the channel. Changes every week. We did not do a power rankings after Saturday's Pocono doubleheader, so these power rankings are being updated for the first time since Nashville. But usually we do it every week, and then we skipped a week because of the All Star race too. So I guess we've really only done it once in the last like what 3 weeks, 4 weeks almost. So uh, anyway, we change them every week, and it will be every week on a basis, every race weekend on a basis from here to the end of the season. I give my top 10 drivers of how I think they are shaping for the championship. Number one is going to be my championship favorite. Number two is going to be my next championship favorite. The top four as a whole are going to be my championship four if the regular season ended after Pocono this weekend. I feel like these guys going into the play, or I should say, if the playoffs started this weekend, these would be my four favorites to make it to Phoenix with a shot at the title, and then all the way down to number 10, with 10 being my 10th best favorite to win the championship. So we always start from the bottom at number 10. We go through a couple of the bottom at the pecking order inside the top 10, and then we talk about the guys that just missed out. So number 10, Kevin Harvick on the power rankings list so far this season. Harvick has 14 top 10s, 6 top 5s on the season. Still no wins, no stage wins as well. Hasn't led a whole lot of laps this season as well. Harvick's only led 39 laps this season. He is sitting 158 points above the cutoff line, so it's pretty almost all but all but certain that Harvick will be making the playoffs this season. I want to put Harvick higher up in the running order, but he just doesn't have a win. And he's one of only two drivers that does not have a win that is in my top 10. And with Bowman winning that third race this season, the third race this year, I obviously had to move Bowman up the uh, pecking order a little bit. So it wasn't a chance there. Ryan Blaney outran Harvick in both races. Blaney had a fifth place finish and a sixth place finish. Harvick did get one top 10 this weekend, but Harvick's still sitting pretty good. Again, Harvick has been consistent. Yes, he has not won, and Storehouse Racing as a whole has been terrible, but not Harvick. Harvick's ninth in points right now. So, yeah, obviously stepped back from a 9-win season last year, but he's got 14 top 10s, which is a lot considering he's actually tied for the most top 10s this season. Let that sink in. I think Harvick is really flying under the radar. He can definitely still be a round of 8 driver. And if he wins a race in the round of 8 somehow, which isn't impossible, you look at, Texas and Kansas being there. If he wins one of those 2 races, he is in the championship 4 and tries to rewrite what he was not able to do last season. Again, he's tied for the most top 10s with Kyle Larson and William Byron, by the way. So he's got more top 10s than guys like Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, all these other drivers. So he's in the top 3 as far as that goes. Well, tied for the top total. So Kevin Harvick, number 10. Number 9, we've got Ryan Blaney. So the week before Pocono, after Nashville, I actually had Harvick at 9 and Blaney at 10. I swapped them because Ryan Blaney had had a 5th place finish and a 6th place finish compared to Kevin Harvick this weekend in both races. Had an 8th place finish and a 4th place. Well, I guess he still finished pretty. He had 2 top 10s. And that's tough. I might change that last. No, I gotta stay with it. Blaney did outrun him, not by as much as I thought he did, but he still outran him this weekend. Plus, he's got the one win this year. Harvick doesn't. So I mean, I know Harvick should make the playoffs, but still that extra security, the extra playoff points that Harvick does not have. Harvick has 0 playoff points, no stage wins, no race wins. That's what's going to hurt him, if anything, for the playoffs this season, is no playoff points. But he's had the consistency at least to be able to point his way round by round. But if he has one DNF, just one small hiccup, especially you look at the round of 12, Talladega in there, the Roval, he's not the greatest road course racer. So, yeah, man, round of 12 exit, he's got the consistency to get above that, but he just doesn't have the playoff points. Number 8 on the list is a guy that I feel like the chat is not going to agree with me at number 8. I've got Martin Truex Jr. at number 8. And I know he's got 3 wins this season, but he's only got 9 top 10s this season as well. A lot of drivers have more top 10s than him this season. A lot of drivers have more top 5s than him this season. He's tied with Blaney in top 10s, but he's got 3 wins to 1, so that's why he's ahead of Blaney, and obviously 3 wins to 0. That's why he's ahead of Harvick, but I mean, he has not been good at all. He's actually fallen to 7th in the point standings. Since getting that 3rd win of the year at Darlington, these are Martin Truex Jr.'s finishes. 11th at Pocono, race 2. 11th and 18th at Pocono, so 2 finishes outside the top 10. 22nd at Nashville. 13th in the All-Star race even. Yeah, he had a 3rd at Sonoma. But then Charlotte, he finished 29th. Coda, he finished 35th. And Dover, he finished 19th. So if you include the All-Star race, Martin Truex Jr. only has 1 top 10 finish in the last 8 races. So that is why he had to fall down the order. He's been slowly dropping these last couple weeks, especially in the power rankings, my power rankings, and he's down to number 8. I know, again, he's got 3 wins. He's got a lot of playoff points, but that is the only thing going for him right now. And I think it's a good thing they got that Got those playoff points early when they had the chance because they are definitely not looking that great right now. They need to start to hit their strides before the playoffs start. Or we could talk about Truex being around a 12 exit as well. I want to know, down in the chat, do you agree with 8 through 10 on the power rankings list right now? Again, Truex at number 8, Blaney at number 9, and Harvick at number 10 so far. The drivers who just missed out, by the way, well, I wouldn't say just missed out, but have missed out. Brad Keselowski, 2 top 10 finishes when he only had 2 in the prior 12 races. That did move him close to getting there, but if he can show more consistency, I'll give him 2 more races. If he finishes in the top 10 this weekend and next weekend, he's back inside the top 10. If he wins this weekend, he's easily back inside the top 10. But I don't see him. I don't see him winning this weekend at Road America. Oh, see, that's the thing too. It's a new road course. I don't trust Brad Keselowski to have a good run this weekend. Plus, not having that team. So I'm gonna take those 2 Pocono top 10s with a grain of salt, and that was one of his better racetracks. So I even had him predicted to finish inside the top 10 in Saturday's race at least, and he did. Just because of how good he was at Pocono, I was laying all of the bad uh, speed that they've had, the lack of speed, I should say, that they've had. I took that out of the equation. Kurt Busch, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon just outside. I mean, Austin Dillon and Reddick, they were hot there for a little bit, and I almost moved them in the top 10. And now they've flatlined. They haven't fallen off, but they haven't done anything more to stay hot. They're just kind of, they're there. They're finishing 8th to 12th every week, most weeks at least. I think these road courses coming up here, we got 3 road courses in the final 7 races of the regular season. That's going to hurt Austin Dillon. He's 91 points above the cutoff line, which might seem comfortable right now. But I don't think he's ever raced at Road America. He will have practice and qualify, but he's never raced at Road America, and he's still not finishing the top 10 in a road course in his career. So that's concerning. Obviously, Indianapolis road course is going to be new as well. That's concerning. And then Watkins Glen, although he's got the history there, again, he hasn't finished in the top 10 ever. So at Watkins Glen. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to depend on how those guys below him obviously finish too. Because if Austin Dillon finishes 20th, but then, Daniel Suarez is only finishing 15th. Suarez is 48 points below the cutoff line, and Dillon's 91. Yeah, he'll close in on Dillon, but he's going to have to close in bigger chunks if Dillon's going to get knocked out. So we'll see, and that all starts this weekend at Road America. So that'll be interesting to see how that will work. I'm hoping Austin Dillon can keep it up, but we'll see. Truex was so good at the start of the season, but now he has no momentum. Yeah, exactly. That's why I moved him down in the power rankings. Again, only 1 top 10 in the last 8 races, if you include the All-Star race, which I usually don't, but considering he didn't have a good run there either, and that kind of just goes, that's par for the course of how he's ran. There's the rights to the 69. Man, I didn't even see that earlier. I don't think anybody does. I can't remember that number being ran in the Cup Series. All right, number 7 on the list, we've got Chase Elliott. He has dropped back quite a bit after Pocono. 2 tough finishes of 27th and 12th this weekend. He had a little damage at the start of the race on Saturday, and it did look like he might have had a fast enough car to at least definitely get a top 10 if it wasn't for that damage. But coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's still a 12th place run, no stage points really. And then kind of lacked the stage points, and again finished 27th. He had to pit a couple times there, much like Blaney did, but he was not able to come back from it like Ryan Blaney was. So definitely tough break for Chase Elliott. I had to drop him. The guys he was above going into this week that moved ahead of him, Alex Bowman, who has 3 wins now to Elliott's 1. So I kind of felt like I had to move Bowman ahead of Chase Elliott, especially with the hot, consistent streak the Bowman's had. And I know Elliott was hot and consistent before that, and I really did want to keep him in the top 5. I think I was going to move him below 4th anyway, with a couple of guys below him. outperforming him this week. Kyle Busch also with the win was below Elliott, so Elliott had to move back a couple spots and not having any top tens. Logano also moved above Chase Elliott with two top tens for Joey Logano to none for Chase Elliott, and they both have one win this year too. So Chase Elliott back down to 7. We go to Road America this week. He wins. He'll probably be easily back inside the top 5. Alex Bowman moves up again. Mentioned he moved up. He ends up 6th. He has two top tens, and Alex Bowman. I know he has 3 wins, but even outside of the wins, that 48 team's click. At the start of the year, they were pretty slow. That's why that win at Richmond kind of came by surprise because up until Richmond, they only had 2 top tens on the season. He got his 3rd with the win at Richmond. Then at Talladega, he DNF'd. He got involved in a stage 2 accident there. Kansas, he finished 18th. Darlington, he finished 17th. It looked like he was just going to fall back to the way that team went before winning Richmond. But then he won at Dover, and that win at Dover really changed the perspective of Alex Bowman and that 48 team. Because after the win at Dover, they finished 8th at Coda, 5th at Charlotte, 9th at Sonoma. All-Star race even finished 6th. Dropped back a little bit, didn't show the speed at Nashville I think most people expected him to have. Finished 14th, but then he won at Pocono, and then he finished 7th in the second race at Pocono. So for Alex Bowman, if you include the All-Star race, which we did for Truex, so we'll include it here for Alex Bowman as well. Last 8 races, he's got 7 top 10, 7 finishes of 9th or better, and 3 top 5s in that stretch as well, and now 3 wins on the season. So Bowman up to 6 in the power rankings. Hopefully you guys like it. Mentioned Joey Logano moved ahead of Chase Elliott as well. Logano moves up 1 spot from 6th to 5th after just basically jumping Elliott, but Elliott dropped 2 spots because again Bowman got that extra win. So Joey Logano is up to 5th in the power rankings. He's very close to the championship 4 worthy. He's definitely had the He's had the same consistency that Alex Bowman has had in recent weeks, but Bowman won. If Bowman keeps his consistency up and Logano can't get a second win, I do think Bowman will move ahead of Logano, maybe even after Road America next week. So we'll take a look at Joey Logano's season statistics. He does have more top tens than Bowman. He's got more top 5s than him as well. So he's just more consistent as a whole this season. That's why he's ahead of Bowman in these power rankings. He is 4th in the standings overall as well, the regular season standings, so that'll score some playoff points. Finished 10th and 7th in both Pocono races, 10th at Nashville, 4th in the All-Star race, 4th at Sonoma, 17th at Charlotte, not the greatest there for Joey Logano, but then the 2 races before Charlotte, 3rd and 5th at Coda and Dover. So in the last, we'll go same sample size, last 8 races, 1 less top 10 than Bowman, but or sorry, no, they both have. My bad. They both have 7 top 10s, so same amount of top 10s. But the consistent finishes Logano is getting outside of the win. Obviously, Bowman's got 2 wins in that stretch of 8 races, but Logano's got far more top 5s because those were 2 of only 3 top 5s for Bowman in that stretch, where Logano has 4 top 5s in the stretch, and he's got a couple 7s in there as well. So I do trust Logano a little bit more than Bowman, and I think a lot of that is just experience, really. Even though I think as a whole the 48 team and Hendrick Motorsports is better than Penske in that 22 team. Austin Dillon ran 2 Xfinity races, 2012 and 2013 at Road America. Yeah, I didn't know off the top of my head how long they've actually been racing at Road America in the Xfinity series, so that's why I wasn't entirely sure. But even though he ran 2 races there, it was so long ago. I just don't. And Austin Dillon is just so bad at road courses. I don't think that experience is really gonna do anything. Last time the 97 was used was in 2012. Bill Elliott. Good research there on that one, Michael. Way to dive deep into the racing reference J-Ski ways. Yeah, that was a part-time effort too. That probably would have been in the Daytona 500 or something, because I know he was doing some one-offs there in the late 2000s, early 2010s, the Car of Tomorrow days, really. into the championship four. These are the four drivers who, if the playoffs started this weekend, I would be my pick to be in the championship four. We'll start off at number 4, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's still winless on the season. Again, came close. Really, the first time he's come close to a win in a while. This is his best racetrack, so we were kind of expecting him to maybe compete, but I don't know. Denny Hamlin had to drop. Kyle Busch got the win. Hamlin was third on the power rankings last week. He had to drop. He had to drop. Kyle Busch has been a lot more consistent lately compared to Denny Hamlin as well. Hamlin has had nowhere near the same consistency that Kyle Busch has had recently. And when we talk about where Kyle Busch is in these rankings, we'll compare his stats to Hamlin. So, as far as Hamlin goes, though, 14th at Pocono. Again, he was running up there, but still ran out of fuel. Fourth in the first race at Pocono, though. 21st at Nashville, 21st in the All-Star race. Then he finished 8th, 7th, and then 14th at Coda. So, again, compared to all those top fives we were seeing, and like Hamlin's going to be close to getting a win as he's due, and he still hasn't gotten it now. We're 19 races into the season, which is just mind-boggling, really, considering, again, I still think he's got the most top fives this season. A lot of those were in the first 9 races, but it's still top fives. He's got 11. Next closest, or sorry, Larson's got 11. He's got 10. So Hamlin's got the second most top fives now, but still, yeah, he's the only other guy with double-digit top tens outside of Larson, and nobody even has 9. So he's 2 ahead of the next closest, which is quite a few guys with 8. Few of them. All right, Denny Hamlin, number 4. Number 3 is William Byron. I had Byron at number 2 last week. He drops to number 3 because the guy that slung shot above him does have a win. Byron is tied for the most top 10s this season. We already had stated that a little bit earlier. 14 top 10s, 8 top 5s on the season, so he is tied for the third most top 5s as well. And only the one win to show for William Byron. In recent weeks, as I know, Hendrick Motorsports has been dominant, but Byron just really over the course of the season has, again, still in my opinion, been from start of the season to now has been the most consistent this year. 12th in the second Pocono race, he ran out of fuel there late, unfortunately, but third in the first Pocono race, third at Nashville, 7th in the All-Star race. Got in an accident at Sonoma, finished 35th, but then he was 4th at Charlotte, 11th at Coda, also in an accident, still rallied to finish 11th. 4th at Dover, 4th at Darlington, 9th at Kansas, 2nd at Talladega, 7th at Richmond, 4th at Martinsville, 6th at Dirt Bristol, 8th at Atlanta, 8th at Phoenix, 8th at Vegas, win at Homestead. This guy has been insane this season. He really has. I think he'll keep that consistency up. Byron could very well make it to the championship for this year, and as of right now, I think he will do so. Coming in at number 3. Number 2 is Kyle Busch, KFB, moving on up. When he got that win at Kansas, I said that he was back. And not just because he had one win. Yes, Kyle Busch did win a race last season at Texas. Late in the year, coincidentally, another fuel mileage race. Something about that 18 team, they know how to get it done in fuel mileage races. But anyway, they won at Texas late in the season. And that was good to see him win late in the year, but it wasn't really returned to form, I don't think, especially considering it was a fuel mileage race and it was a track at Texas where he had the track position on top of it, and even coasting it like he did, he was able to stay in front with the clean air advantage that he had with Truex and Bell closing in behind him. And then we saw him win at the Daytona Road Course this season in the Busch Clash. He had a fast car, but he wasn't going to win if Blaney and Elliott didn't get together there and didn't look out. But a win's a win. You can't take that away from him, but it wasn't a return to form. And then the start of the season looked a lot like how last season was, but he has really picked it up since that second win at Kansas. And even the couple races before Kansas, he looked like he had a race-winning car at Richmond, finished top 3. And then it looked like he had a race-winning car. We got I gotta look up his season stats, see what race that was. There was another race where he looked like he could have won, but he finished outside the top 10 because I think he had a mechanical failure or something, and he couldn't make it to the end of the race. It might have been Darlington. I think it was Darlington. So it looked like he had a top 3 car that day. No, he finished third at Darlington. Dover, that's what it was. It was Dover he had the mechanical issues. Yeah, but outside of Dover, he's been clicking away some good finishes. First and second in both Pocono races, 11th at Nashville. But remember that Nashville race, he had a top 3 car, another fuel mileage race where he ran out of gas there late, or at least had to pit late. So he ended up finishing 11th, even though, again, he was in the top 3 all day. Ninth in the All Star race, fifth at Sonoma, third in the Coke 600 at Charlotte, 10th at Coda. Also had a chance to win there. Couldn't make it on fuel, decided to pit. If he would have stayed out of the pits, probably would have finished third. Mechanical failures costed him and finished 27th at Dover, third at Darlington, and a win at Kansas in that stretch. So, very good things coming out from Kyle Busch. Again, he looked very fast at Richmond, and then when he won at Kansas, I said he's back, and he has definitely been back. He's only got one finish outside the top 11 since his win at Kansas this season, and that was, again, Dover, and that was really nothing of his own doing. So, Kyle Busch is back. Also, as far as the regular season standings go, Kyle Busch is up to fifth all of a sudden. Remember, he was 12th in points when he had, lackluster start of the season, kind of like he had for most of 2020. That's what I mean. He picked up where he left off in 2020, despite winning the Clash this year and again winning late at Texas last season. He was 12th in points for the longest time, but he won at Kansas, and he's gone from 12th in points to fifth now. He's not that far behind the couple guys ahead of him, William Byron and Joey Logano. 650. Yeah, he's only 1 point behind Logano for fourth in points, and he is 40 points behind William Byron. So maybe a little harder to catch him, but only 1 point off of fourth. A good run this week at Road America comparative to Logano, and he can get up to second. And obviously, far and away at this point, number one is Kyle Larson. He's only 2 points behind Hamlin now for the regular season standings. So when we thought Hamlin was not going to be caught, well, Larson came alive. He has 4 wins this season, 11 top fives and 14 top 10. So he's tied for the most in top 10s. He's got the most wins. He's got the most stage wins with 12. He's led the most laps by almost double over the next closest, which is Denny Hamlin. 1,441 laps led to Hamlin's 768. Again, Hamlin is second in laps led this season. It has been dominant victories when Larson has gone to victory lane. Even when he's not winning, he's dominating the race and just can't seal the deal at the end of it. Of course, blew that tire. Nothing of really his own doing. Maybe pushed the car a little too hard, which led to that, but you're fighting for the win. And he did it cleanly, too, so you can't knock Larson for that tire failure. And got into an incident being back in traffic early on the initial start to the second Pocono race. Still came back to finish second place. Just unbelievable what that 5 team and what Kyle Larson has done so far this season. So he is easily number one. Take a look here at the chat down below. Byron DNF at Sonoma. Yeah. 35th. But, I mean, outside of Sonoma, though, Byron has just been ungodly this year as far as the consistency goes. Xfinity's been racing at Road America since 2010. Okay, there we go. I feel like Keegan has Larson number one spot. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. Larson deserves to be in the 5 car. Yeah, that's also very, very true. He's definitely proven himself worthy. The talent that Larson beholds is unlike any other. Well, we are pretty much exactly at the 1 hour mark, which is where we cap things off. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. NASCAR 05 Truck Series racing here tonight on the channel, so we'll get that live stream started here in a couple of minutes. Tune in for that one. And yeah, that's going to be it. Again, like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate the support as always. Road to becoming a NASCAR commentator, as well as the road to 1,000 subs, of course, as well. But most importantly, the end goal is to get in the sport of NASCAR and get in that broadcast booth one way or another. again, appreciate your support as always. Thanks for the comments in the chat as well and the accurate power rankings. I do my best, not biased opinions. Predictions video for this weekend at Road America is actually going to be Sunday morning of the race. It'll be before qualifying, likely, unless I do it at the racetrack, like from my car or something in the parking lot after qualifying, because I want to be in the track for qualifying. So uh, we'll see how that's all going to work, and I want to make sure we have practice of qualifying in before I give my opinions, because that makes the predictions a lot easier. But thanks everybody. I'll see you NASCAR 05 coming up very shortly.